Welcome back to Now You're Talking, where real conversations take center stage. In today's episode, I have the privilege of sitting down with my granddaughter, Abby. We talk about growing up in today's digital world, where screens are constant, connections can feel distant, and finding your voice takes courage. Abby shares her journey with anxiety, the impact of COVID-19, and how counseling, summer camp, and outdoor time helped her discover who she is. It's an honest and uplifting conversation about parenting, growth, and the power of being present. Follow us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find your podcasts. You will find all the links that you need in the show notes below. Let's get started. Let the conversations begin. So, Abby, thank you for joining me today and being my guest. You are my oldest grandchild. And I just wanted to talk to you about what it's like to have only known the digital era. And so maybe, we can start by talking about that.
Yeah.
How has it been for you?
So I was like kind of the beginning of the digital era. So a lot of it was like some parents didn't know how to deal with it that well, or like at least as well as they like know now. 'Cause yeah,
Yes.
beginning of the digital era, it was no screen time regulations or anything. You couldn't download any of those apps that have like the blocked sites or whatever, because it was like the full on beginning. So my parents personally, like they were amazing with the digital era and they knew kind of how to regulate my screen time, what I was getting from the screens. But I have friends who like their parents didn't know how to deal with any of that, and it was very much difficult for them.
Oh, really? Well, so tell me more about that. When you look around at your friends and how has that made a difference? And so this is for parents and to help parents. So can you tell
Mhm.
me how parents that don't know how to deal, how that makes a difference?
Well, so if your kid doesn't get like regulated screen time use and like what their content, so regulated screen time use, they could just turn into like a full-on iPad kid, be on their iPad all day, not know how to socialize with other kids, only know online. And I've seen people that just like are constantly online, don't know how to interact with anybody else. And it gets difficult for them, the people around them, and like the parents and everything. And the parents are like, why is this happening? It's because your kid is on screens 24/7. So I think we need to just regulate screen time use. Get your kids outside, bring them to the park, take them on walks, anything to get them off the screens. And I'm not saying don't do no screens, just like regulate it. Like do if you can do an hour walk, you get an hour of screen time or something like that. Or if we go to the park, you can have some rest time when we go home and you can watch the TV. And then there's also what they watch, because what they watch can like very much damage their mental health and everything. So if like your kid is watching some like adult shows with like horror movies and stuff, that can make them super
Yes.
scared and anxious and just like affect their mental health so severely. And it's just damage that doesn't need to be done. And you could just regulate what they watch and everything, block certain sites, put kid locks on Netflix and Disney or whatever that is. And I feel it's something that can be easily avoided.
So tell me, because maybe a lot of parents don't even know about these scary sites. Can you give us a couple of examples about things to avoid?
Well, I mean, YouTube, there is scary stuff on YouTube that kids come upon. So a solution for that would be like getting YouTube Kids, because YouTube Kids, they regulate whatever's on there and everything. And then don't let your kid watch YouTube or whatever outside of where you are, because you don't know what they're watching, because there's so much stuff online. And then also apps,
Yes.
regulate what apps they're on, what sites they're on, because you can get some sites that have like some scary, scary stuff. I don't personally like know many because I wasn't one of those kids who were on those, but it's a
Yes.
lot of it is YouTube and stuff, just stuff that kids will stumble upon. They get curious like kids do and just watch it, and then it damages them for the rest of their lives.
Right. Share what your parents did right as it relates to the digital era. Maybe that will help to understand better some positive things.
Yeah. So my parents, they took me outside a lot. So I was at the park a ton. I was going on walks with them. They were regulating what I had on my iPad, seeing the apps that I had, what I watched. If they saw something they didn't like on my iPad, they'd be no more YouTube for the rest of the day, or don't watch this anymore. And I would be okay. So it doesn't get me into a deep, dark rabbit hole like some of my friends have gone into. And then also summer camp. I feel like summer camp is a really good thing for every single kid ever because it helps with social life. It gets you friends and keeps you off screen for the whole 1 to 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
that's really good for your brain and everything. And I realized that after I came back from summer camp when I was a kid, my mind would be so much clearer and I would be able to socialize better and everything would just seem more harmonic almost. And screens take a
Okay.
toll on kids, definitely.
So many parents have to be on screens too. We're struggling with the same thing. So, from a young woman's perspective, what is it like for you to see your parents on the screen all the time?
It's just normal for me because that's kind of how it's always been. Dad, he's usually at work. When he comes back, he wants some chill time. But also, we'll have family dinners and stuff, which I think is really important for a family to connect, to have at least 3 family dinners a week. Because connection is so important in the family. And mom's like, she's on her screens for work, but she tries to be off them as much as possible. And then she'll bring friends over and stuff every week. And then we'll get to talk with them. And I feel it really helps improve everybody's social life in the family and how you can communicate with people. And I feel that's how I became a really social person, is getting so much interaction with so many people and getting an understanding of all these different people that I've been meeting.
So, is that something your mom and dad consciously do? Have dinners 3 times a week where you guys can actually chat?
It's more like whenever we can, because sometimes my sister is at hockey games or ringette games or something. So they'll have dinner at the rink, I'll be home. Or me and Ella will come home from school. We're so tired and we just want to eat in our room or something, or somebody's busy. But I feel whenever you can, I feel 3 times a week should be a minimum because it helps your family connect with each other. And that's a super important part of family.
Tell us a little bit about how camp has contributed to who you are.
I feel camp has made me more of a social person because I've gotten so much interaction with so many different types of people. I've been to different camps with different people, different communities, different values and everything. And I just
Hmm.
met so many people and it made me more social and be able to connect with people on a deeper level. Because in summer camp, you stay in the same cabin with the same people for 1 to 2 weeks. And you don't really have any other
Yes.
choice but to talk to them and everything because you don't have any phones, you don't have any electronics. So you end up having some pretty deep conversations at summer camp, especially as you get to the teens and everything. You'll just have so many deep, meaningful conversations with people. And I think it just sticks with you for the rest of your life, those experiences and how fun it is. One of my favorites was we went on a kayak trip and we saw killer whales. And
Yes.
it was like, it's engraved in my soul. It was like one of my favorite days ever. But I feel those experiences just help you become a more connected person with all of nature and society, and it brings a nice balance to your life.
How was it for your campmates? Was it difficult for people to that were used to being on their phones to all of a sudden be without them?
A lot of them, it wasn't that difficult because they keep us so busy that we don't even have time to think
Okay.
about our phones. And I think that's a good thing for
Right.
parents to do too, is make activities for your child, bring them crafts and everything. Keep them busy so they don't want
Yes.
to be on their screens. That's the whole problem, is they get bored and then they're just like, "Oh, I should watch YouTube." Crafts are a big thing that helps kids just stay tactile and super busy, and then walks, parks, or whatever. But moderation is
Yeah.
key. A little bit of screens here, and I would say 30% screens, and then the rest should be just family time, craft time, outside, go to the park, go hang out with your friends, like all of that.
Is your school screen free? At
No, so
school, are
my
your
school,
screens allowed?
yes, screens are allowed at my school. They did recommend a screen-free school. So it was supposed to be a rule, but nobody
Yes.
follows it, and it's like possible to keep high school kids off their phones. The teachers can't really do anything about it, and most of the teachers don't care that much about it as long as you're paying attention, doing well in class, then I think it's okay to be on your phone every once in a while if you're doing okay in school and you're paying attention while other people are talking. Just don't be rude and be good in your classes, and then it's okay.
So what about when classes are over or and you're in the hallway? Are people connecting or are they constantly on their phones?
I would say it's 50-50. There's a lot of people who are like listening to music as they go to class. I don't think there's like phone zombies who are just staring at their phone while they're walking through the halls. There's not
Hmm.
many of those because you can barely do that because the hallways are so crowded. But yeah, there's 50% of people listening to music or something, and then the other 50% of people are just socializing with their friends. I like to socialize with my friends in between classes and everything because I think it's a fun thing to do. But one thing that I think kids should not do is stop in the middle of the hallway and start talking to their friends because that's really annoying for the rest of us, and so many kids do it.
So they're talking to their friends on their phone or they're just talking to
No,
their friends?
just talking to friends in
Which?
person. There's a few people who will be on the phone or whatever, but usually it's they're on the phone with their parents or their boyfriend from another school or something. So usually it's just people talking in person in the hallways.
Okay, okay. So you're really into drama and can you share how that experience has really improved your high school?
I think drama makes so many social skills so much easier because you get
Hmm.
comfortable with all these people in your class, and you have to. You do all these weird exercises and you do these games where you have to have teamwork and everything. And you have to learn how to project and how to talk to other people on stage and make everyone hear you from the audience. And I think it's just something that everybody should take at least once because it improves your social skills so dramatically, and especially public speaking. Because so many kids are afraid of public speaking, and drama definitely helps with that, especially if you're going to work in a big company when you're older. You're going to be speaking in front of
Yeah,
like hundreds of people. And I think drama
yeah.
is something that's really going to help with all of that and so much stuff in your life.
Yes, and kids are afraid of public speaking, so are adults. I mean that never leaves us really. And so you're really into drama, but what about having that sort of extracurricular, whether it's sports or other things? How does that help your friends and you cope in the digital era?
I think sports and everything. I'm not personally a sporty person, but just extracurriculars in general, it helps you
Hmm.
build a larger group. It gets you connected with this group of people who likes the same stuff as you, and then you guys can go hang out after or whatever. There's the football kids, and they'll go on the football trips together and go hang out there, or basketball kids, and they'll just hang out. So I feel like extracurriculars are really important to maintain a good social life just
Yes,
because it introduces you to so many more people and people with the same interests and just helps you connect in general. And then you also have something to do other than being on your screen.
exactly. That's all, Abby. Thank you very much for sharing your words of wisdom. And one more thing that your parents have been able to do, they've introduced you to a place where you hang out as a family, where if you go outside, the Wi-Fi is no longer viable. How that experience, that cabin experience, influenced your childhood?
It's given me a lot of core memories because it's somewhere where I grew up, and there's just so many people down there. I connect with different people because a lot of the time you don't have a choice. There's a very limited amount of people. So you learn how to connect and relate with people who aren't that similar to you. And then you realize you do have similarities, and you have similarities to almost every person. And just making conversation and socializing so much more, and then no screens especially. You have nothing else to do. You need to go out, go to the beach, go hang out with your friends, go to the store, get some ice cream. You have no other choice than to go out into the world.
Thank you very much. And what I want to talk a little bit about the game Now You're Talking. You have been part of the whole process of creating it, and you've played it several times. Could you talk a little bit about what that experience has been for you?
Playing the game?
Yeah, playing the game.
It's really good. I think it's a really good game for people to connect. Because you learn so much more about yourselves, especially if you're playing with your family. I played with my mom, and we learned so much more about each other. And I feel it got us to deepen our relationship and just connect and just learning about my friends too when they come over and they play the game. And I just learned more about them and they learn more about me. And I think it's a really good way for people to just connect and unwind and socialize. And it's a really fun way to do so too.
Well, thanks. What's a experience or a story that you learned or shared that really stands out in your mind?
For any specific story, but I do remember when we were at the big house. It was, and we were playing with my friend Hannah, and I just learned so much more about her that day because she keeps a lot to herself, but she was answering the questions, and it was a side of her that I don't see very often, where she's just social and answering these personal questions, and I just felt we had a very deep connection while we were playing the game.
Fantastic. Thanks. So I'm going to ask you a few questions from the game. What is your greatest accomplishment so far in your life?
My greatest accomplishment, I think, is just being a social person because there isn't many social people around these days, and just being able to be myself because that's surprisingly something that you don't find in many people a lot of the time. Just people being themselves. So many times people just cover themselves up. They don't express who they are. And I think that's something that everybody should do is just take your own journey and realize who you are and express that through whatever you want to do. I can sometimes express myself through drama. I'll express myself just through talking to my friends. Just being myself, I think, is my greatest accomplishment.
So you said two things there. People aren't social anymore. You said, or there are very few, and people cover
Yeah.
themselves up. How is digital and everybody being on their screens, how has that contributed to those two things?
So for being social, I think because people are on their screens so much, they don't get as much social interaction in their childhood as they should. And it just stops some of the social development. And then people don't know how to talk to people for years. And it leads, and then covering themselves up because social norms are so widely spread amongst the internet that people are just, this person acts this way and this person acts the same way. That must be the normal way to act. So I should act that way too. And then we have all these people who don't even know who they are. So they stick with this mask that they've put on for their entire life.
And because they're trying to model what they've seen online rather than uncover who they really are.
And that's why so many
very
people have mental
insightful.
health issues.
Yes. How do your friends describe you, Abby?
I think they would describe me as a social person, a social butterfly, energetic, definitely, especially around them. A lot of people say I have like a good energy that just surrounds me and that I can like bring people in and talk to people easily. So just a social butterfly would probably be like the top of all that. And then everything that follows.
I've known you your entire life, and you've been social from the day you were born. And I have to say, when I asked you yesterday or the day before if you would be on this podcast, just to be able to say without hesitation, yes, speaks to how confident you are and your inner confidence. So it's wonderful for me to experience. A couple more questions. What is your favorite family tradition?
My favorite family tradition, two, one from my childhood and one
Yes.
that's just like forever.
Yes.
The first is going to the cabin. It's my favorite. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite places to go. There's so much to do, and I get so much freedom there because it's such a small town that I can be a 10-minute walk away, and that's pretty much the most I'll be if I'm still in the town. So it's so much
Yes.
freedom and just so many people that I know and a familiar, comfortable space where I love everybody there. And then my second,
Yeah.
when I was a kid, my dad, he had all the Star Wars movies on VHS, and we would have a VCR, and we would just watch Star Wars in the basement once a week. And it was one of my favorite days of the entire week because I loved Star Wars.
That's great. Well, so going back to freedom, how important is that? So I want you to think about your life, but then and some of your friends or some of the people that you know at school, is freedom something that people your age generally have?
Freedom is something that people find because a lot of the time, especially going back to what I said about the internet, people mask themselves with
Yes.
what they see, and it doesn't give the people the freedom to be themselves. So you need to find your own freedom, and it
Hmm.
takes a really long time. It took me so many years of struggling to realize that I'm my own person and I need to thrive in the person that I am instead of pretending to
Hmm.
be someone that I'm not. So I feel freedom
Hmm.
is something that people find, and not a lot of people find it for a very long time.
And what was the turning point when you found your freedom? Can you think of
When
that?
I found my freedom,
Yeah.
I know it was in grade 10, so I started
Mm-hmm.
going to counseling in grade 9,
Mm-hmm.
and that helped me so much because it was someone to talk to about anything and everything and giving me strategies. And I struggled with a lot of anxiety back then, so
Mm-hmm.
we worked through that. And once we mostly worked through that, I kind of found out who I am because it was so much of that anxiety that kept my real personality just bubbled up inside for so long that I didn't know who I was. And just working
Interesting.
through all that just helped me realize that I'm my own person and I have freedom to be whoever I want to be.
Wow. So you're really talking about two types of freedom. There's that inner freedom, finding who you are and who you are in the world that is authentically you. And then the physical freedom to be out out in the world, where you feel safe and you feel free to make your own decisions. Yeah, wow. Thank you for that. This is a question I'm looking forward to hearing. How has your birth order in your family contributed to who you are? Being the oldest
Okay.
of two?
Yeah. So I was the oldest, which means for about 5 years, I got all the only child privileges, which I loved. And then
Yes.
my sister was born, and then she got so much attention. And I was like, what the heck is happening? Why am I not getting this attention? And yeah, I feel like it caused me to be able to share. That's the biggest thing I think about only child and siblings usually have a better ability to share because they have to. They're forced to. They live in the same house as this other person, and we have to learn to share. And I remember my sister always yelling at me for stealing her makeup or something, even though she's years old and she doesn't need makeup, so I can have it. But we always like fight about sharing and everything, and we just had to learn to compromise. And I feel being the oldest, I had to make some difficult decisions in terms of sharing because she's younger than me. So she doesn't know as much about sharing and everything and about the world. So I think it's just all about sharing and all of that stuff and learning how to compromise with my sister.
Okay. Well, and those are lessons that you'll take throughout your life, into
Mhm.
the world, into the workplace, to other relationships. Those are valuable lessons. Besides this, what is the most courageous thing you have done in your life?
The most courageous thing I have done, it's honestly probably agreeing with my mom that I should go to counseling because she asked for so long. She suggested maybe you should go to counseling. And then in grade 9, I started like feeling super nervous in the halls at school because it was a brand new school, ginormous compared to middle school. It was 1 year out of COVID. So I was used to staying inside for so long. It went to 1 year of normal ish school, and then we went straight to high school. So it was a lot to take in. And one of the most courageous things I've ever done is agreeing with my mom and saying, yeah, I agree. I should go to counseling. And that
Hmm.
decision changed my life so much and made me realize who I am, made me work through my problems, and just helped me mentally, physically, everything, and just helped me so much.
And it takes a lot of courage to go to counseling, doesn't it? Because you never know what you're going to really uncover or unravel. You mentioned COVID. You have dealt with the digital era, and you've also had to deal with COVID. How has COVID impacted you and some of your friends?
COVID very drastically like impacted social life. Like my social life, it wasn't that bad for me because one of my best friends, Quinn, he would just like sleep over at my place every day. So I still had like a little bit of a social life. I would hang out with my friend Sophia like on FaceTime, but it was more
Uh-huh.
when like you weren't able to go outside anymore. I feel that drastically impacted so many people because I know right now a lot of the stuff that I like focus on is walks. Going on long walks is just something that I do to clear my head. I wasn't that way back then because I didn't know that that would help me so much, but I just feel bad for all the people who were that way because it was so difficult to go anywhere and you would have to wear a mask to go everywhere. And it was just a very difficult time for social life and exercising or going anywhere. Like the gyms were probably closed and everything. So I just
Hmm.
feel it impacted social life and mental health, physical health. It impacted so many people, especially like small businesses. Small businesses were shut down, a lot
Yes,
of them. And there's so much
yes,
difficult stuff that people had to work through. And me being in middle school, it took away some very good developmental years, which were, I think I
yes.
was 12 and 13 or something. And
Hmm.
that was the age that you were supposed to start going out, hanging out with your friends and going to concerts or
Hmm.
whatever. And I didn't get those years because I was stuck inside. And I feel that definitely made my anxiety worse for going into high school. And social anxiety, especially, was probably one of the worst ones.
And what helped you to work through that?
Probably. So a lot of it was counseling. Like counseling helped so
Okay.
much and figuring out who I am. Counseling
Hmm.
is a huge part of why I am the way I am today and why I'm not this anxiety filled 14-year-old I was in the past. So I feel that
Right.
helped me a lot through the challenges of life and COVID and the digital era and everything. It just helped with so
Yes.
much stuff.
Oh, that's great. Finish this sentence. I wish I had the nerve to blank.
That's a tough one. I wish I had the nerve to go in more drama shows outside of school. Like there's this one place called I think it's Limburg or something, and they do some cool stuff. But yeah, there's a ton of other cool plays. But also I'm so busy all the time that there's no time. So I don't know what I'm gonna do after high school for the drama and everything. So I don't know. We'll see if that goes any further.
Okay, great. Well, just putting it out there, just even saying that, I just wanted you to say it out loud because once you put it out there, then you can work towards making that happen. And my final question is, what are you most grateful for?
Grateful for my family because I think I was born into a very loving and amazing household and an amazing family that supports me in anything that I want to be or anything that I could be. And they're just amazing. And I love them so much. And I'm so, so, so grateful for everybody.
You're gonna make me cry. What are some words of wisdom that you can share to help other parents who may have children or kids that are younger than you are and who are struggling with some of the same things that you've struggled with?
Take your kids outside, especially if they're younger. Just take them outside, bring them into the sun, even if it's just your backyard or a trampoline or something, or take them to Jungle Jacks or wherever. Just take them outside into the world so they don't become iPad zombies. And just make sure if you feel something's off, ask your kid about it. Just be open with your child because I think that's one of the best things a family can do is being open with each other, asking each other, "Hey, is everything okay? I feel you've been off lately. What's up?" And just being truthful. If you're keeping secrets from your kid, then that's never going to lead to anything good. And it's just going to lead to your kid keeping more secrets from you. So I just think take your kids outside, be truthful, be open, be honest. And my mom always gave me some words to live by: gentle, kind, honest, and respectful. And I think they are the most important values to have in life. And they just help you through so many situations and everything.
Wonderful, Abby. Thank you very much for being on a guest on my podcast and for sharing your words of wisdom with parents. I know you will you'll have a big impact. So I appreciate it very, very much that you had the courage to be on. And I'm choking back tears a little bit. So thank you very much. That's it for today's episode. I hope Abby's openness gave you a fresh perspective on what our kids and our grandkids are really navigating. If it sparks something for you, pass it along. Conversations matter. If you're looking for more ways to connect offline, go to nowyourtalkinggame.com to find out when you can purchase your own copy of the Now You're Talking board game. It's designed to open up the kind of dialogue we had today. Thanks for listening. Until next time, reminding you to slow down, ask questions, and listen for what matters most. Let the conversations begin. Now you're talking.